Alright, so right now I'm going to do a little bit of orientation to the building, believe it or not. Even though I've got this big map up here on the board, we're going to start with the big map just because it's cool, and then we'll zero in a little a little tighter on things important to you. So we look at Washington D.C. We might as well go big, right? Right here, the Potomac River comes way down here, comes in from the bay, and right about there, where the Potomac River and the Anacostia River come together, that's at the bottom of Washington, D.C. Although there's a little bit of Washington, D.C. down here too, but this is a really noticeable feature. It's easy to pick out. So Washington, D.C., if you can, I don't know if you can see in the camera, but there's some lines right here, here, and here. So this part right here is Washington, D.C. Originally, my understanding is that the parts down here were supposed to be part of Washington, D.C. also. These parts that are now still part of Virginia, so they didn't end up being part of the city. So the city is just this section right here that's kind of carved out of the Maryland side of the Potomac River. So this Potomac River here separates Maryland from Virginia. And then, of course, this section right here is Washington, D.C. Now, that's the only reason that's helpful is because then we can see where we are in comparison to Washington, D.C. Montgomery County sits on top of Washington, D.C., kind of like a squashed diamond, right? So you go out this way, a ways, and out this way, up this way a ways, up here, and like this, and kind of this whole section up here is Montgomery County. Okay. A good thing to notice here too, and we'll zoom in a little now. People talk about the Beltway all the time, right? And the Beltway then is this 495. This road makes it a circle, a deformed circle, all the way around Washington, D.C., going through Prince George's County, Alexandria, Fairfax County and stuff. All this, just like this, creates a big loop, a complete loop around Washington, D.C., going through the suburbs, right? Now, if we zoom in a little tighter on this right up here at the top of the Beltway, we're going to look right here at the top, we'll see right now, here's the Beltway going through Silver Spring. This is considered downtown Silver Spring right down here, right next to the district line, right next to the boundary with Washington, D.C. That's downtown Silver Spring. But right out here near the Beltway, this is the Beltway going through right there between University Boulevard and Colesville Road, Route 29. We'll zoom in there, right in that little section. And if we look a little closer, there we go. We see the school is here. The fire station's over here. This is the football field right there. Interesting. Let's switch to this other view. We can see some more details now. Right down here, hopefully you can see that. That's right now. That's the Silver Spring YMCA. That used to be a country club, and attached to that country club was a big golf course right here. This was the golf course attached to this country club until sometime in the early 60s when the Beltway first came through. This was then separated from the country club. The country club became the YMCA, and the country club moved out to the country out off Lay Hill Road. It's called Indian Spring Country Club. And this piece of ground sat unused. It was the old golf course, but it sat unused for several years, from that early 60s to the late 90s, right? And then in about 1996, when they finally decided to build the new Blair school here, right? Then we know the old Blair is over near downtown Silver Spring. New Blair, that's what this is, opened up in the fall of 1998 on this campus right here, right? So on the one side of the Blair campus is the Beltway. On this side is University Boulevard, right here. going through Four Corners. And on this side is Colesville Road, Route 29, right? Of course, it's interesting, Route 29 and Route 29 north and south. At this point, it's not really going straight north or south right here. It's more on this kind of north or northeast angle, right? Now, let's look a little closer at Blair itself. This is good to see. And I'll actually get to the point that's going to be helpful to you. So, this classroom is at the west end of the building. If you think about this being west, and this is north, and east, and south, and so on, right? And you can kind of see, now you can kind of make out the shape of the building. There are hallways that run along these lines here. There's a hallway here, there's another hallway here, another one going this way, this way, this way, this way, and this way, as well as this big hallway out here called Blair Boulevard runs along this angle right here. So the main office sits somewhere about here. This is where the steeple is when you look from the front of the building, or you can even see it from back here. The steeple's right there, and the place where the buses drop off is over here. I'll zoom out just a little bit to show that, or just shift it over a little tiny bit. Yeah, this little rooftop right here is the entrance by the SAC, or the Student Activity Center cafeteria. This little rooftop here, this is where the buses come in and unload, and students generally come in through this door to get into the building in the morning, right? On this side, this is where the faculty and staff park over here, for the most part, coming in from Colesville Road, and parking on this side. Now, finally, where we are right here, in this room, is all the way over here. Because that little feature right there, not quite that easy to distinguish. If we look real close, that is the greenhouse. So when we went outside and looked on the patio, there's a greenhouse out there here on the second floor, right? So in this Google view looking from above, that's the greenhouse. This area is the patio, which means that this room sits right inside here, somewhere inside here, right? Because we're right in this corner of the building. That's right over in that corner of the room. Now, this is a helpful hint. If this is where this room is, and the end of the building there, this is west, looking west. So that means that end of my room, that way, is the west end of my room. This is the east end of my room. That direction's north, that direction's south, right? And so it's sometimes I will tell you, if you want to get a wooden dowel, which is like a wooden stick, long round piece of wood, I'll say that you go to the storage room and walk north all the way to the end of the room, and when you get there, there will be a whole bunch of dowels in front of you in a little rack, right? You can find all the different sizes right there and so on. But it's helpful if you have that orientation of north, south, west, and east, right? Now, as we look at the building, as I mentioned before, we've got these hallways, right? So this, the hallway going this direction right through here is the hallway right outside of this door. That is the as we say, 210's hallway. So starting with across the hall is room 210, and this is room 211, and next to me is 213, 212, 214, all going down the hall, right? Going that direction down the hall, and that's going this way. And by the time you get to this intersection right here, where the two hallways come together, now this hallway right here is the 220's hallway. So room 220 is up in the front of the building, right near this angled thing here is called Blair Boulevard. And so room 220 would be somewhere right about here, at 222, 224, 221, 223, and so on. So this would be the 220s hallway right here. 210s, 220s, and what do you know? When you get to this one over here, that's the 230s. So 231, 235, 238, and 239, and so on are down here near the intersection with the 240s hallway. So 210, the 230s hallway, right? There's actually, you go 230, then you've got the 250s hallway, and finally this last little short hallway here are 270. And of course, when you're in the 270 hallway, if you go up a flight of stairs, you're in the 370s hallway. Or you go down a flight of stairs, you're in the 170s hallway, and so on like that. And so this would be the this would be the 170s or the 270s. This would be the 260s, right? The 240s, right? 220s, and so on. Then to come back down to this end of the building. So the simple version is, if you start at at this end of the building, these are the lower numbers of the building, right? Like the downstairs would be the 109, 110, 112, and so on. And as you go that direction, going east, the numbers go up, right? Okay. You'll get it quickly as we go on, but it's really handy to be able to get a picture of the entire school, the entire campus, and how that fits into the local surroundings. So if somebody says to you, well, I'm going to meet you after school, I'm going to go over to Sweet Frog for a nice ice cream treat or yogurt treat or whatever it is they sell there, that's going to be across the street here. And these four corners, you will not cross the street during school. But once school's over, campus is open, you can go wherever you want. During the day, once you get off that bus, it's called closed campus. You don't go over to all these different places. But there's tons of places around Four Corners. This intersection here and these shopping center stuff, this is called Four Corners. Don't know why? I can tell you from experience, that name has been there a really long time. And there's even, somewhere up here, there's even a sign that says it. I believe it's somewhere around here in the road. There's a sign that says Four Corners. When I was young, there was no such sign, but that's okay. We still knew. But now there's tons of places here. Starbucks, Subway. There's a grocery store. There's a Chipotle. There's all these different things here for food. There's food over here. The Sweet Frog thing. There's tons of stuff all around Four Corners. So yes, you're in Wisconsin, and it's a really busy intersection. They don't want students crossing the road in the daytime. There's lots of students don't always do a good job of crossing the road. So once you get to school, you're supposed to stay on campus the whole day until after school. Then if you want to go over to Sweet Frog and have a treat, or to McDonald's and get some trashy food, then you're allowed to do that as far as the school's concerned. Whether or not your parents let you do that, that's between you and them. Or you got to have cash too. That helps. Anyways, okay. So that's enough a little bit right now for the geographic orientation related to the school. Let me know if you have any questions.